If I were to ask you, what is the scariest thing about a narcissist? Maybe you will answer their gaslighting, their ability to convince you are the crazy one, and the root cause of all issues in the relationship. But what if I told you, none of that is as scary as their delusional thinking? None of that is as dangerous as their disorder of thought and feelings. Why and how? Let's find out in today's episode. Hi, I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. In today's episode, we are going to understand the scariest thing about a narcissist. If that sounds interesting enough, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and also press the bell icon to stay notified with everything latest that I post over here. After encountering the evil of narcissism, many survivors get confused and they ask questions like, how can a person do all of this? How can a person be so blind to their flaws and faults? How can a person not be introspective at all? How can a person do all of this and not take responsibility? It is flabbergasting. It's mind-boggling to witness all of this. Because if you make a mistake, normally what would you do? You will take responsibility. Yes, you will feel some shame, but then you will try your best to change your behavior. Yes, it's definitely hard to do so, but that is what normally happens. However, when it comes to a narcissist, none of that is possible. And people get confused because they compare their way of thinking with the narcissist's way of thinking. They always ask questions like, do they know what they're doing? Do they believe their own lies? Well, yes, they do. That is what makes them so resistant to change. That's what makes them so delusional. They believe the lies they tell you. It's not something like they say to convince you. Yes, there are some things they kind of know they're lying about, but most of the things they tell you, about themselves, about the relationship, they're convinced about those things as to be the different parts and aspects of the reality that both of you are a part of. This is what makes it extremely difficult to deal with such an individual, because they think their thoughts are the actual reality. If they think you are trying to attack them, let's say, you are trying to put them down, if they get triggered, they wouldn't take a step back and ask themselves a question like, is there something that is coming up for me? Do I need to take a step back and rethink about what I said or what I could say in this moment? No, none of that happens. Their false self has completely closed all those possibilities and all those doors within. They cannot look within, because if they were to ask questions and create space between their response and the trigger, then their rottenness would come up to the surface. They will become aware of how broken they are, which they run away from. It is their nemesis, and the narcissist would no longer remain a narcissist. The shortcut is to blame it all on you. And not only that, to convince themselves that yes, it is your fault. You are truly criticizing them when you are not. And to make it all about you so that they can feel justified in abusing you. For these reasons, if you were to confront a narcissist or make them sit with all their abuse, all the bad things they have done, they won't be convinced that they have done anything bad, because they're justified in their head that you deserved it. You made them do it. Somehow, you or someone else was the cause behind their behavior, behind their actions, and it's not their fault. They didn't mean to do it, but because you were behaving that way or you said that thing, they were forced to do it. So they're right. In their place, they're right. They're justified. This is also the reason why they think they are the victim. Because in their head, they're entitled to use you. They think, not only think, they believe it's their right to use you in whatever way they want to. They can do anything they want to. Because you are becoming an obstacle and you're not letting them do it, you're trying to hold them accountable, you are the obstacle. This is the most dangerous way of thinking, because if you're not aware of how much harm you're causing and you feel justified in that, you're doomed. It is not only the narcissist who is doomed, it is the person who is at the receiving end, unfortunately you in this case, because you get to experience all of that and there is no validation of your suffering. They feel justified. They make it seem like your suffering is because of your actions. It is because of you that the relationship is struggling, the relationship is not moving forward, or there are these problems. It also applies to narcissistic parents as well. She was the greatest mother. He was the greatest father. You were a very difficult child to deal with. You gave them a hard time and so on. Or they did their best. They sacrificed their life. It was hard for them. There is every single reason and justification for their behavior. But when it comes to the small mistakes you make, no. They will turn this whole world upside down to crush you, to break you, to tear you apart. Because how dare you? How could you? But when it comes to them making the same mistake, no, you are expected to ignore it. The other aspect of this is their disorder of feelings. What does that mean? In this case, that means they do not filter their feelings at all. If they feel, let's say, jealous or envious about you, they wouldn't go and ask themselves, no, this is not something that I'm supposed to feel towards this person. They're my partner. This is my own child. Why would I feel that way? Come on. No. That is not what they would do. Instead, they would just act on those feelings, make them their reality, and act out of that animosity, that jealousy, and will do everything in their capacity to bring you down if you are moving forward in your life. If you're succeeding, they can't see it. Their jealousy takes over, their emotions take over, so much so that they rage. And when it comes to their rage, you know how destructive it is. They don't see anything before it. They may think they're omnipotent, but the truth is they're the biggest cowards since they can't handle their own emotions. Their sensations are the truth to them. There is no mid-processing that happens. If a sensation arises in their body, let's say if they feel shame, something happens, someone says something, some comparison or something that doesn't even matter, something that is very insignificant, they'll take it personally. And the sensation of shame drives their rageful behavior. The deepest explanation to this is, it is the shame that they do not want to feel. It is the shame that they are suppressing, have been suppressing since eternity. And whenever someone says something very insignificant, it just gets triggered, which proves their ego is very fragile. No matter how strong and tough they act, they're very fragile. A mere touch shatters it all. For these reasons, their own thinking, their delusional way of thinking and believing things is extremely dangerous. That is what runs and drives all their abusive behaviors. I can guarantee you this, and you may let me know about your experiences in the comments below, but even if you were to present hardcore, undeniable evidence to them, they'll still find a way to turn it against you, or they will find a way out. They will find a way to escape accountability. They will come up with some reason. They're pathological liars, and their level of the level of deception they create, it is unfathomable and incomprehensible. You can't even think at that level. It is criminalistic to think in that way. It is shocking and surprising to just even think about the amount of harm they cause and what they get away with. Let's conclude today's episode by watching this small video clip. The scariest thing about a narcissist is that they believe their own lies. People lie, but they know there is a difference between reality and their lies. But when a narcissist lies, they do not see any difference between what they are lying about and what the truth is. In fact, they are so delusional that they think their thoughts are the reality and the feelings they feel are the facts. And the most dangerous thing about all of this is that no matter the amount of evidence presented, they would still deny the truth. Even if it is hardcore evidence right in their face, they would choose to believe their lies. Because they believe their lies. They believe their lies as to be the truth. Not only their truth, but your truth as well. And this is why you can't argue with a narcissist. You cannot indulge yourself in a conversation with them. And this is what makes them vindictive, punitive, jealous. And when you're fighting them, you are literally fighting in a battlefield, and they see it as a war. That was it for today's episode. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know in the comments. Also share your thoughts, feelings that came up while listening to this episode. I'll talk with you in the next one. Until then, let the healing begin and continue.